All right. I am thinking of a disc golf player.
Calvin Heiberg.
No. The first word I would use to describe this player is accurate.
Michael Johansson.
This player is relatively new to the tour, but has absolutely made a splash in their first few seasons on the road.
Isaac Robinson.
No.
Sullivan Tipton.
No. This player is known for, at least the way I see it, full committing to hitting tight lines.
Aaron Gossage.
Full committing to hitting tight lines. For someone slightly smaller in stature, this player certainly...
Paul Krantz.
Yes, it is Paul Krantz.
Paul Krantz, PK, Dudley, Massachusetts, team MVP. I played with him the final round, and we both shot under par at Parc des Familles.
You knew he was from Dudley. That is beyond impressive.
I know he's from Dudley because Dudley's a funny name.
Dudley's an unfortunate name thanks to Harry Potter, I think.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't want to... I'm not throwing anyone named Dudley under the bus, and I'm definitely not throwing Will Schustrick under the bus because rumor has it Will Schustrick's real name is Dudley Schustrick.
I think that might be true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when
Dudley
did you...
William.
When did you stumble across this information?
You know, I want to keep some things confidential. I can tell you guys off the pod.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It's no, Dudley's a great name. I'm probably going to name my child Dudley.
Isn't that
The nickname could be Dud.
Isn't that the
Dudley.
That's Harry Potter's cousin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
All right, everyone, welcome back. It's off-season week.
Off-season week.
My
Let's
brain is
go.
overtired.
It is
about an
off-season
hour
week.
past my bedtime, but we are back. I'm home in Mass. Joey's somewhere on the road, and Eagle is home in Colorado.
Colorado, man. Yeah. We're enjoying the off-season.
Yeah. You got a lot of Hawaii on there.
Yeah, I wore my Hawaii outfit today. I got a care package in the mail. It's always fun coming home to the packages that you receive when you are gone. And shout out to my friends Quinn and Jen. They hooked me up with the Kaya's hat and a bunch of other Hawaiian-related stuff, some Kona coffee, macadamia nuts. It was like a little taste of Hawaii when I got home, and it's exactly what I wanted and needed. So I'm representing today here on the CP pod.
That's right. Well, how was everyone's week in the Big Easy? Let's start.
Oh my gosh.
With the
this is
bird.
gonna be wild. I've been looking forward to this podcast because I don't normally consume a lot of disc golf podcasts, but for some reason, many different reasons, this past week was very eventful. Probably one of the more polarizing events of recent memory. Maybe
Not really polarizing.
I think
We were all on the same page.
No. So this is the interesting thing. This was me observing, like, my opinions about the course are that it grew on me. There's definitely some things that I would personally change, and I found it interesting to play a tournament out there. But when I listen to everyone else talk, the general consensus for players on tour was all pretty similar. But this brings up a very interesting topic, is that most of the fans held the consensus that all of us were complaining and we were whiny babies and we don't want a challenge. Like, that was what I got. And I found it very interesting, like, trying to speak, in my opinion, objectively. It's interesting to hear fans' perspectives on what they think a pro course should be when they're watching from their living room and have never played a tour course before. And when you hear Matty O, Paul Macbeth, us, Aaron Gossage, Ezra Aderhold say, like, this is difficult, it's unfair, especially Gannon in his press conference. He was probably the most talked about. And I thought Gannon gave very good criticism of the course. Most of the people heard it as just, it's too hard. We're sad that we can't shoot minus 15. We don't like it because it's tough, which that's not at all the case. I love tough courses, but it's just how we get there. But I just found it extremely intriguing that that most disc golf viewers want to see kind of crazy courses and see the pros struggle and not necessarily have lines. They think it's a good thing, which is interesting because you'd think that the pros on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, the people who play the highest percentage of good courses, like probably in the world, like compared to the average person, you think those would be the pioneers who would be progressing the sport forward and giving opinions. But on the other hand, from what I got from like the disc golf world and other podcasts, is that what we were saying wasn't necessarily valid, and it's more important what the fans say about what they want to watch, which I've found crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I always had two different stances on the course last week. One stance was, how many tweaks could we make to the existing layout to get it to like a course I would be like happy playing? And then the other stance was, if you dropped me, not me necessarily, but Paul Simon, a touring pro, onto this property as a blank slate, what kind of a course could they create out here? And that stance always made me more depressed about the existing course than the first stance, which was, what do we need to tweak to make this a good course? Versus, like, I feel like that's sometimes what Simon gets really frustrated about. It's not that a course is like 5 tweaks away. It's that this is what you got. This is what this person decided was like the layout that it should be when they got plopped into this property. So I think I found myself trying to lean more towards stance number 1, like what little things here and there, like how close is this course to a good course in the existing layout, instead of, if we had to start all over from a blank slate, like how much better of a course could we make? Because that's more depressing.
I digested a lot of media, as you could tell from my perspective. I am very grateful to all the work they put out there, because John Houck went on course maintenance with Aaron, Ezra, Eli, and they were giving him good criticism. Like, John was asking, what are your guys' least favorite holes? And all those guys were saying what they didn't like, and he had very good rationale and reasoning. Like, a big part of like Twizzlers being in the gap or not being as cleaned up as it probably should is because it was so raw and they put in so much work to get it to where it was. So in that regard, incredible. So, like, it's always tough because you want to be very critical, and everyone is critical. But it's tough to like put it into words because, like I just said, it comes across as people complaining. But I'd say to wrap up my perspective is that I appreciate John Houck. I appreciate the whole staff that made it possible. And I don't know what the course looked like before, but assuming that it was anything like the rough that I found myself in and bled from, they did an insane job.
It was a fully
Hats
functional
off.
disc golf course before.
But not like where they're putting the new tees or the
No, not
new
there.
basket locations. So there was
No.
some new cleaning up to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. My experience was completely the opposite of that. I always congest a lot of media and podcasts and listen to other people's opinions. But I actually got multiple messages from friends on how awful the course looked to play and how miserable it must have been. And I also found the course didn't translate at all on camera on how bad it was. Like, just listening to the live commentators on what they were talking about on some of these holes, they clearly could not grasp from the pictures what we were facing, especially hole 18 is a great example. I think last couple shots, final round, Ricky was like, his second shot, he pitched out left side, and they were talking about, oh yeah, he should have an easy up and down from there. This is like potentially over. And he was like 350 feet away with no line. Like, that would have been an absolute miracle up and down from there. Which, I mean, I don't blame the commentators for not knowing. Literally, if you haven't been there, you couldn't see what we were looking at. It's just, for some reason, these holes looked easier on video than they did in person. I noticed that on multiple holes, actually. And I don't know. I found there were too many holes that were just unacceptable.
Yep.
In my opinion, for me to say that the course grew on me. Yeah, I guess it was playable, and at the end of the day, anything would be playable. But I think it was sadly a shot in the wrong direction or something. I don't know how best to say it. Yeah, I found it very, very challenging to play that course multiple times in a row and feel any kind of excitement, which I don't know if that has to be a given, that I should feel excited to play a course or not, if that's supposed to be part of the job. Maybe not, but God damn, there were some holes out there where I was just like, how did this happen? It made no sense to me. And I mean, I've said enough times that I love John Houck and I love most of his courses I've ever played. But something went wrong here. Something like I think maybe that John thought that we can all throw 600 feet on a laser straight low ceiling line. Even some of the holes where John Houck was describing on his social media on where he thinks people could like get aggressive or where landing zone could be and how you could approach it from there, like those were just not realistic for 99% of the field, 99% of the time. Mm-hmm. So maybe he just gave us way too much credit, and this is how this happened. And I don't think the pros were whining, and that's I don't think from the fans that's a good take at all. We just want a fair challenge, like every athlete would ever want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of those holes, I mean, the fact that I'm out there with a broken elbow and I have to choose to send one over the top on like 5 or 6 of the holes because everything else literally makes no sense. That just shows that it just wasn't there, sadly.
It's interesting because I would say like the one caveat to having courses like that on tour isn't necessarily like the challenge or the ability of people, but you made a good point. You have a broken elbow. For how long we play, should the fact that the general net worth of a disc golfer isn't that high compared to another professional sport, and the fact that if we're going out to a 12,000-foot course, throwing as hard as we can, the injury risk spikes way higher, and then it being so early in the season, should there be a max distance allowed on the tour just for the state of disc golf? Because a lot of people can't really hold up to doing that every week. Because imagine if that becomes what disc golf is. There needs to be more money in disc golf if that's going to become disc golf. Because you need a personal trainer, you need a massage therapist, you need a whole team with you to keep you together if you're going to be playing that week in and week out.
I wonder what the longest course on tour besides this is. Is it? No, I don't even know. It could
probably
be
Glendevere. It's got to be up there.
But that's been trimmed back. Well, I'd like to say a couple of things. I think one, I think the thing that frustrated me the most maybe was that I felt like in 2021 and 2022, the tour went a direction where A, the courses were huge, but B, we were debuting layouts on the Pro Tour. And I feel like there was a lot of feedback from players about A, the length of courses, but B, what I consider more important is debuting layouts at the elite level. I just like, and the Pro Tour kind of made a shift away from that and stopped debuting tournaments and courses on the Elite Series. They would always start with the Q Series or they would start with the Silver Series. That was the format that went on for, I would say,
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. And now I understand that the opportunity from Jefferson Parish, which is kind of the second thing I want to talk about, is amazing. But this is a clear example of not only was this not tested in a Silver Series, it wasn't even played by anyone for the last 10 months. Now, I understand that's for the amount of effort that they needed to put into the course, but they closed the course to the public. And so, not that they're going to help break it in or anything, but it just kind of like, I don't know, exaggerated to me that I talked to Jeff Spring after the third round, and I said I was more frustrated by the fact that we had gotten away from that method than anything else. Because I just remember like 2021 when we played Dogwood at Texas State's, and and that same year we played the 13,500 foot Glendevere course, and all these new layouts. So that was a bit frustrating. It's a tough line to walk when you go into an event like this, because at the same time that you're seeing all these things that you're frustrated about, to any smart player, it is obvious how many thousands of hours of work went into creating this property that we aren't satisfied with. But 90% of the people, probably more, who put in all that work are not responsible for the decisions that were made about the gaps. An important thing to note is, at least according to Seth Muncie, who I trust, you can't cut the bald cypress trees. So that, I didn't know that. That's an interesting note. The fact, Nathan Farber and his entire staff, and I was talking a bit to some of the Pro Tour staff. I don't know how, it has to be public. These are politicians. There were local, I think state senators, if I remember right, or state congressmen who put hundreds of thousands of dollars of their spending budget for the year towards making this event happen. In fact, I'm pretty sure that there was a congresswoman who put her entire budget towards putting this tournament on. There was a massive effort by the community, by the park, by a lot of people who frankly don't know course design and aren't responsible for it. And they put in so much work that it is a tight line to walk when you're trying to give feedback, especially in the event. And something that I found through even having a conversation.
I would love to hear the sales pitch for disc golf on that meeting.
Yeah, I think Nathan Farber really led the charge, and he has established quite a a camaraderie with Jefferson Parish through the last 9 years of having that course. And I gotta say, like, hats off to everyone, including John Houck. Like, the amount of work that went in is incredible. The amount of times I'm sure he flew down to make the changes. We can fundamentally disagree on what changes were made, but that does not negate the amount of effort that was put in, not just to the course, but to the entire event. I mean, we had awesome extra activities. We had a crawfish boil that was paid for by the state of Louisiana. We had a lot of amazing things that the whole city and the community really pulled out all the plugs to make it happen. We weren't even supposed to go on a discount on those swamp tours until this Jefferson Parish made a couple calls and made it happen for us. And so you just don't want to risk alienating those people who did not make the course design decisions. We still want all those people to be as motivated to put an event on here next year as they were this year. And so that was just something interesting that I heard from some Pro Tour staff about the risk of over-complaining. And then my sort of response to that staff person was, well, then what the heck was the press conference on Thursday? I mean, if you were worried about people complaining publicly on your course, you should have said something to the pros in the Facebook page about, yes, we understand it's not perfect right now, but let's try to protect this relationship, which is in its first year, and we're trying to grow this partnership. And, I mean, I'm happy that what happened at the press conference happened, but I hope that the members of the Jefferson Parish municipality still feel like we really enjoyed the event. And I tried to, honestly, thanks to Seth Muncie, he just kind of like put some perspective in my head when I was a little bit frustrated after hole 18. Yeah, just reminding me like the big picture. So I think it's interesting.
I think it was a great event, all things considered.
Trophy was cool.
Yeah, and the problems I had with the course and the layout, like, didn't make me not want to come back or really have this as like a negative experience for me. All in all, like, I cannot wait to be back next year, and I think it was an incredible tour stop. I think everyone involved in the event did everything right. I mean, just sending it like that and making it a first-time tour stop in Louisiana and that kind of property was like one of the coolest things ever. And it has all the potential. And they hired literally the best, most famous course designer in the world to pull this off. And sadly, there was a little bit of a disconnect, in my opinion, on what a pro layout should look like. But that doesn't change anything about the fact that I really enjoyed my time there. I think the event crew, the staff, the volunteers were incredible. Locals, I mean, it doesn't get much better. And the property, we all know that it has more potential than most any other property we've ever seen.
Yep. I think a couple of things about, I don't know, I heard from Eli, actually, about what John told them on course maintenance, which was that up until not too long ago, he was mainly a par 3 designer. That was like his bread and butter. And then, I mean, this is really no slight at him at all. I would just say that he's the most famous course designer. That doesn't necessarily make you the best. Just because you've been around for decades designing courses, that gives you experience. But does the decades of designing community courses and high-level, like, amateur courses automatically make you the best pro-level course designer? I don't think so, but obviously the pitch that John and Dee gave to Jefferson Parish and Nathan Farber back in 2016, I mean, there's no other course designer or business that's going to approach you with that much sophistication and experience. I mean, they do a good job of presenting their model. All of that makes it seem like, yes, the most popular then equals the best, and I don't see that connection as much.
I mean, what courses has he designed? He's designed
W.R. Jackson.
The
Harmony Bends.
Harmony Bends, the one up in Canada. I'm spacing
Yep.
on the name.
Hillcrest Farm.
Hillcrest
Yes,
Farms.
yes.
He designed Selah Ranch. It's not there anymore,
Oh, yeah?
but that was.
Yep.
We actually
Honestly,
almost played
you know,
another one
Joey,
of his courses.
I might have to push back in terms of like rating and like the courses I've played. I mean, he has the most projects for sure. He probably is the best course designer.
I mean,
I think Joey was also saying like on pro tour level
Yeah,
No,
specifically.
for sure. But just to say, like, I think if you have to give someone a title of best course designer, you probably
Yeah.
have to give it to John Houck.
Would agree.
yeah, or Steady Ed.
Yeah. Simon Lizotte.
I mean, my two of my favorite, maybe it might be my two favorite courses in the world are Paul McBeth designs. I just don't think he has enough designs to like put it up with a John Houck. 'Cause you're right, John Houck has a lot of experience. We almost played one of his courses today. We're in Georgia, just north of Atlanta, so we almost played Hobbs Farm disc golf course.
Is that like a park in Atlanta?
No, it's like outside the. It's not in Atlanta.
He's design. Okay, there was one in Atlanta that I played that was a John Houck design. It was really good. I don't know the name, but it was like close to the airport.
So I feel like some of this then has to be that he can't cut the cypress, so that is a one thing. That's a big deal. And then, I mean,
The cypress trees were not the problem.
I agree, but
Let's be honest.
It was experimental. He was trying something new. That's what it came down to. And he wanted to experiment and push our boundaries. And in the course maintenance podcast, he said, I wanted to overestimate because I underestimated the pros in the past and my course has like gotten shredded.
yeah,
And he wanted this to be a test.
I
And
think
he got what he wanted for sure.
I think he was trying to deliver a similar level of difficulty shock as Northwoods Black was on the tour. I think that was like his goal, was to do something like that. And we all, well, love or hate Northwoods Black. I would think most of us say it's pretty fair course. It's difficult, but I would say it's a pretty fair course if you stay in the fairways. But when it first came on tour, yeah, it was a shock to everyone's system. Nobody had played a course like that. But it was different than Dog.
Northwood Black feels like pitch and putt compared to what we played last week.
It was different than debuting on Dogwood at Texas State's in 2021. That was like a different type of like shock test difficulty. That was like, there isn't any lines here. So I'm curious. I mean, when we were there, like I said, a week before the tournament, he was out there with us. He was looking at lines. He was very curious. I think that the evolution of this course and tournament will continue with John at the helm, and I think John is certainly capable of taking the feedback and improving the course.
I think it's going to be awesome next year. The one thing I will add on that, and I could be completely wrong, but I always find it interesting when people talk about the difficulty of a course. Because yes, obviously PDF, very hard. North and Black, very hard. But you also know what's really hard? Fountain Hills. Because guess what? You're playing it with the field of the best players in the world. So it's all relative. You have to go out there and make the shots. So like whether you shoot, I mean, it's a birdie or die, but like at PDF, the course we just played, it's a different challenge, but you still have to play good no matter what. So you could go literally the easiest course in the world and have the world championships, and you have all the top players there, and you got to make the shot. There's no excuse. So I've always thought that like the difficulty, of course, doesn't really matter when you put it on a Pro Tour event.
I suppose I was referring to difficulty to birdie, but or difficulty to par. But yeah, I mean, there's two different types of difficult. We've talked about that on the past in this show, about the beauty of having the variety between the easy and the hard courses. I mean, out here, last cash was 10 over.
That's pretty crazy.
Should we give Ricky a little shout out for his little 10 under pop? It's not bad on that course.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I mean, is that another thing
Unreal.
when you
And
get a
a
course
bogey.
when you get a course like this and then somebody goes and does that? I mean, that's another thing that I'm curious about is I feel like it did translate on the lead card how difficult to birdie this course was. But sometimes when everybody feels like it's difficult and then the DGN cards just shred, it can just be like you get around like that, like a Ricky 10 under, and then John Houck goes, see, I don't need to change a thing. He shot 10 under on that layout. I mean, Ricky told me straight up after that round, as we did something in the evening on Saturday night, and he said 5 of those were good breaks, and he made great putts, but he said he said realistically he should have shot 6 under or 5 under is what he was saying, and he got a bunch of good breaks. So how much did you guys pay attention to that final little stretch of 3 holes plus the playoff?
Full attention.
Were you watching
Yeah, I watched
on the
it live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. Wild. Talk to me about it, Simon.
I mean, I guess, yeah, everyone talked about it, and I saw some memes on Reddit that are freaking hilarious. We're talking about Stickgate, right?
Yeah. Did you see Matt Syme? He went and took those sticks, and he's going to make them into minis. He found the exact
No
sticks.
way!
Yes. He's going to be making minis out of those sticks.
That should go like in the Disc Golf History Museum or at this point.
That is literally the best like capitalizing I've ever heard.
That's really good. Shout out Matt Syme. Treasures of the Forest. Go check it out.
Those are some serious treasures.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually listening on the drive home today. Gannon was on Tour Life, and they talked about that situation, obviously. And Gannon said, looking back at the footage, it is obvious that Ricky broke the rules.
Yeah.
He still didn't call it cheating, but more just kind of, what's the right word? Like not really paying attention, kind of
Oblivious.
being oblivious, kind of rule break. Yeah, very odd situation. I mean, there was a lot of loose debris and sticks in the roughs. It kind of felt like they just took all the sticks from the trees and fairways and just threw them right next to the fairway into the rough, which I was like, sometimes like, okay, because that's where I was a lot of the time I was in the rough fighting with the sticks. So there was a lot of times actually this whole tournament where I was in the rough and I had to move some stuff around that was like half in my lie, half in front or beside. And I called my group over multiple times in multiple rounds saying like, here, can I move this just to make sure? Like that is the obvious thing to do. And the fact that Ricky didn't do that, he did acknowledge in his post that he should have done that. But yeah, the video looks almost a bit ridiculous where
the
he
video
just
looks
grabs,
insane, honestly.
he's like 5 feet in front of his lie or something, and he just grabs a pile of sticks and carries them away.
And
When
what
I first saw
exactly
it-
were those blocking? Are they in the way of his shot that he was about to throw? Like, is that? I couldn't really tell from the video if they were in the line or like why would he be moving them if they weren't in the line? There's just no other explanation because if they're that far in front, they're not in your stance.
When I watched the video, my first gut reaction, trying to like be charitable to Ricky, was saying, okay, it might be a bad camera angle and the sticks in front of him are like clearly extending back into his lie. But the more I watch the video, I don't think that was the case. But I feel bad for Rick in some ways because he's getting accused of, being a cheater.
He's getting accused of knowingly breaking the rules, like knowingly in that moment, knowing it was wrong, knowing it was illegal, and still doing it. And I don't think that it's more what Simon's saying. He was oblivious. He wasn't thinking exactly straight. And
I don't
was in
think
the heat
Ricky's
of the moment.
I don't think Ricky's a cheater.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think he would.
Not at all.
And that's what cheating in my definition is knowingly breaking the rules.
Because guess what? He would have been able to be fine without moving those sticks. Like, I think they were annoying, but he would have been able to get to a similar position to his next shot with those sticks. Like they were annoying, but I think they were just like kind of in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Brody said it nicely, I thought. He said cheating is doing something against the rules and trying not to be caught.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricky was clearly not trying not to be caught because he was on multiple cameras surrounded by a couple hundred people watching him do it. So, yeah, he just, I guess we can call it just a malfunction in a way, and kind of just, he saw the branches, he saw they were reaching out into his lie. He was like, okay, I can move this, and he just did it.
Heat of the moment.
Yeah.
Ah, man, it's tough look for him too, and not only that, and then coupled with hole one on the playoff, I feel like that's not as bad. I was on the backside of the green, so I couldn't hear how much of a case he was trying to make that he had crossed across the green. I'm not sure how easily he kind of gave up that fight or not.
It was pretty easy, I thought. It was reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when it's to win a tournament and it's a tough angle and there's like only one spotter, like I know the rules say not to lobby, you're gonna lobby a little bit. And I don't know that the ruling there when your card's supposed to make, is it just Gannon since it's a playoff?
I don't even know that.
I don't know the rules in like a playoff, so it was kind of crazy, but I think the right call was made, honestly.
Oh yeah, it was
for
that
sure.
one wasn't even close.
Yeah, if there's an alternate reality where he lobbied and got the shot up near the basket, that would have been something else.
That would have been. I mean, I heard from multiple people that the spotter was even like checking with some of the spectators or like trying to get kind of like a confirmation on what he had seen. And I mean, I heard from Nate Perkins, who was disappointed to hear other touring pros in the gallery trying to basically like state where they thought he went out. And yeah, I mean, it's tough in those moments. And I mean, I should not be criticizing anybody I shouldn't be telling anyone to hold their tongue coming from me. So, but boy, that's not a great moment to chime in about where you think Ricky went out. I don't know. Unless I was specifically asked by Jeff Spring. I mean, that's why there's like 5 spotters there. So, and then kind of on the flip side, I mean, my goodness, does Gannon Buhr push his time. I mean, I played behind his card on the first round. We caught them on hole 2. We show up to hole 2's tee pad. They're 100 feet off the tee. By the time we get to hole 10, the group in front of Gannon's is putting on 14. And we're on 11's tee pad, and they're putting on 11. And I came up with a new idea that I told to the Pro Tour, which was every night before the next round, look through your groups that you have for the next day. And outside of your last 3 groups, try and identify a couple groups, whether it exists or not, but identify the groups that could potentially cause slowdowns. Because I could have told you the night before that a card with Evan Smith, James Conrad, Gannon Buhr, and Luke Taylor was going to be a possibility for a slow card. And you have enough marshals, in my opinion, to assign a marshal to that group on hole 1. And if they're shredding through 6 holes, then leave and go do something else. But by the time the marshal got out to Gannon's group, the damage had been done. We had waited for 11 holes. There was a 5-hole gap. We had 2 cards like on our heels, and the marshal didn't get there until hole 13. So just as a possibility of like, hey, let's put on some sunscreen instead of like going out knowingly getting sunburnt and then like putting on aloe afterwards. Like if we put on sunscreen and it's cloudy out, well, like good for you. Like you put on sunscreen, you protected yourself, and you're not getting sick just because there wasn't sun. So that was just a thought, and I mean, even in that final round, there was a couple times where he called a time extension. Ricky was visibly frustrated with the amount of time Gannon was taking to do his stuff. I'm pretty sure Gannon did it all legally, but I could see Ricky was not stoked about it.
Disc golf's in a tough place when it comes to rules.
Do you think that made the time stuff better or worse? The changes.
I think it borderline makes it to where there's no time rules. That's my opinion.
PDGA officials who were at this event were not. They were basically saying the same thing of just like, we tried to tell you guys this was going to make it worse, and nobody listened, and here it is.
The only way to call, and the thing is, it's so subjective now. Like, I'm not timing people. It's only a feel thing. Like, it only is like, it clearly has to be over 30 seconds or 45 seconds, but I don't know objectively if that's true. Like, there's been times where I've thought about calling one of my card mates, like, you need to use a time extension, but I don't know for sure if they do or not. Because, like, it depends how much caffeine that I have that day. Am I, like, wanting to move and go, or, like, thinking about my shot? I'm not really thinking about them. And the times where they're using time extensions is, like, clearly this is a really bad spot. And what that does is that they take probably about 45 seconds and then they go back to their bag and realize, guys, time extension. So what should be like a minute 15 turns into like almost 2 minutes. So there's basically no time rule now. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of my...
And I've kind of like relaxed into it too, because I'm taking like more time now. Because I think off the tee, I'm like, okay, it's windy, you know, I'm going to really make sure I'm comfortable. And if I go a little too long, then, okay, somebody to call me on a time extension. So what?
Yep. The fact
Yeah,
that
they have to either they have to get rid of the rule completely or make it 10 seconds. Just cutthroat. Here, you're at your lie. You have 10 seconds. Go.
Ooh.
How about like you have to go up your lie and 5 seconds. You see the line
Or
and just
5 seconds.
throw.
I mean, some players play like that. Some very good players kind of play like that. Yeah, I had the pleasure of playing with super fast cards. I think, I'm blanking now. Anyway, some of the younger kids on tour, like, just step up and launch. No thoughts. I love that style.
Yep.
I want to try playing in threesomes. I don't know if it would fix anything, but it's worth a shot.
You'd shrink the tour
if we see that day, I would be so happy.
You'd shrink the tour by how many people? 30?
Well,
but the rounds would go so much faster. You could fit in much more cards.
Like, instead of 10 minutes, do like 6 or 7 minutes. Maybe cut the field by like 10 or 15%.
Yeah, it could work.
It'd be cool to, like, on like Jomez Pro events, just have like a certain experimental aspect.
Yes. It's exactly what
just
they
to
do.
try out.
It's exactly what they do in baseball. This year, for the first time, they are implementing ABS, which is the automatic ball and strike, robo-ump, right? So now the real ump is still going to be in the game, but every team now can challenge balls and strikes that are called. And they tested that out for 4 years in the minor leagues before they did anything in the big leagues. And I think, you know, it's the same thing with they needed the baseball games to go faster. So they tested out a pitch clock in the minor leagues where the pitcher had... From the moment that the ball was caught by the catcher, the pitcher had 15 seconds to throw his next pitch. And they cut the game time down from like an average of just under 4 hours to an average of like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And it's really changed the sport, and it's doing a lot of things positive. Simon, I wanted to ask you about a sport that we like that also... There's some controversy around slow players and people like I hear a lot of talk about when there's a good matchup of like two guys who have the same pace, or like the slow guys like Mensur. You want to give us a little insight into darts pacing and why it matters, and why you don't play with more than two people?
I mean, darts, like more than any sport, is Hi Eagle, is a flow game, and rhythm is everything. Disc golf, I mean, not quite as much. It would be ideal if it was, but it's just not quite possible with how long these rounds take. But no, I find slow play terrible for the fans, for the other players. Everything about it is just extremely boring. And I mean, there's been golf controversies as well about slow play.
Yep.
Causing backups.
Yep.
And yeah, I think a 10-second rule on tour could be really helpful. Or I would get rid of the rule completely. That would be my approach to this whole thing. And yeah, just freaking step up and throw the damn thing, like people would say. Like, we've done it a million times. Like, come on.
That'd be so cool. Small baskets, like 5 seconds
Don't
to throw.
get me started on small baskets.
Mm-hmm.
I
We
have
don't need to talk about small baskets.
I can fix all the problems if you just let me decide.
Okay.
If I can make the decisions.
I'm down with that.
Did you guys get surveyed by the PGA
Yes.
after your round?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you want to share your answers?
Mike Sullivan and
Robert Leonard.
our favorite, Robert Leonard. He's my favorite. He's my favorite.
He's my favorite.
So the question basically was, they had the idea to extend Circle 1, basically eliminating these questionable jump putts from like this inside between 30 and 40 feet, that range where a lot of players kind of leap towards the basket. And it is basically, I mean, I can almost quote what the PDGA guy said, was that he threw some percentage out there.
80.
I think it was over 50%. It was 80% of jump putts are technically illegal. So that obviously is not a good thing for a sport. So they had multiple ideas on how to fix this. The one I liked the best was literally just keeping the rules the same, but extending Circle 1 to, I mean, if it was up to me, as far out as possible, but I think 45 feet is what they agreed on.
That's what I chose. I think the biggest, the other stat that they were saying to us was the MPO season putting stats last year. From 37 feet, it's a higher percentage than from 33. And gosh, who was I talking to? I think it was Harry Chase. I was talking to Harry Chase about this, and Harry Chase came up with this term that he called the dead zone, the dead man zone, which is the zone closest to the edge of the circle in which you would rather be outside the circle than inside the circle. And so Harry basically said that from 25 to 33 feet, or maybe 26. So basically that the average pro would rather have a 33-footer than a 26-footer. And so he basically claimed that the dead man zone right now is about 8 feet or 7 feet. And by extending it out to circle to 45 feet, he theorized that the dead man zone was going to increase, and there was going to be more people who would rather land outside Circle 1 to get a jump at it than, like, it makes that zone. He was basically predicting that zone would double. So he was against that. I can kind of see his point, but I don't really believe it. I don't think there's that many people who are going to rather be at 46 feet than 38 feet, personally. That's just my opinion. I suppose if you're a really heavy jump putter, if you're a Matt Bell, maybe that would be the thing. One of the other ones they proposed was you could do whatever you wanted, but you couldn't take your pivot foot off the ground. that was one of the things the
I did
PDGA
not
said.
like that
Well, I
one.
was like, what the heck? Now we're just like benefiting step putters. Like that's not good. But yeah, they basically, that was their whole impetus of this change, is that if you have a higher putting percentage from 37 than 33, and technically 80% of the statistics that make up that percentage from 37 feet is illegal, you probably got to do something about that. So I think it comes from a right place. I understand Harry's argument. I don't really agree fully with it, but it was interesting concept of the dead man zone. For
Yeah,
myself,
but who cares if they would rather be there or here? That's
Yeah.
not the point. The
No.
point is that no one's going to make as many 48-foot jump putts as they would have 33-foot jump putts.
right? That's what I'm thinking too.
The whole point is to make just outside the circle not infinitely easier than just inside the circle.
Correct.
Do you want to hear my take? And it's probably a bad take, but I like it.
Go for it. No circle.
Yes.
Oh,
It was get rid of the circle completely. And people can jump from wherever they want.
we
Love
can't.
that. They should try that at one event. No circle. You can jump from 3 feet.
Did I hear from Harry that
People make all the putts anyway from inside the circle, generally speaking.
Yeah.
True.
Did I hear from Harry, Simon, that you can actually like jump in darts? Is that legal?
Jump darts.
Back. I think yes. I think you're allowed to. I'm not sure about jumping, but you're allowed to like fall forward.
Yeah. Wow. That's wild.
I think disc golf, the rules in disc golf kind of stink. At least since we're self-governed, no one wants to make any calls. So guess what? I think there should be less rules.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the 45-foot
Libertarian disc golf.
I don't want to see jump putts from 15 feet. That's just me. I don't like that. Somebody's gonna totally nerf that if they just totally exploit. I guess nerf is the wrong word. Somebody's
But
gonna totally
why is
exploit
that bad? Why is that bad? Just because it's what we're used to. We're used to having that be a bad thing. But
I
in
just think
reality,
that-
it's not that big of a deal.
Well, it's gonna make a bunch of people way better at putting, and that's a thing that.
So what?
Well, because
you have to be
that's-
more perfect.
But that's something in disc golf that we already think is too easy, is putting. Like that's one of the spots that's why Simon wants smaller baskets, and that's why
Make the basket smaller and get rid of the circle.
that's why John Houck designed it the way he did, didn't he? That's what he said. He wanted more circle 2 looks because it's so easy to make it from 30 feet. So, yeah, I'm curious where that will go. It was cool to have them there.
You make no circle, you make the basket smaller, and you make the chains lighter. So you
Oof.
can jump, but then the disc is going to be coming in so quick that the spit out's come into play more often.
What if it was just like
You just
now
get
we're
rid of
thinking-
the chains. Let's just get rid of the chains.
Oh my
completely.
gosh.
Oh, let's get rid of the basket.
just a hole in the ground?
We should play no tee pads, no basket. Just everyone chucks discs through the woods and see who wins.
Yeah, like the old days.
Do you remember when
The best idea.
maybe my favorite Alden Harris vlog is when they went into the middle of the woods and played the distance contest from the middle of the woods, like the middle of the thickest trees ever. And maybe like a good solid Mach 3 that will catch center no matter what and will not love the outsides. I mean, it's not quite a marksman, but it's close.
I will design the ultimate frisbee catching device, and I will pitch it to the Pro Tour next off season,
Okay.
and we will see it
Preserve
on
next
tour
year.
in 2027.
It's going to debut at the Preserve.
What should we call my designed basket?
The Simon line. It's just like a one line.
The Simon Line Pro.
Yeah.
All right, next topic.
I have a new
We
segment.
never gave recaps of our tournament.
Oof. All right.
Thank God.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the tournament so much. I got 18th. I started off really bad. I got to like 5 over in the first 9 holes. And then I finished the tournament 2 over. So I worked hard to claw my way back. So there was resilience. I had to dig deep because I didn't want to fall victim to the course. I wanted to prove to myself that I can battle a difficult property, and I would say I had positives. And one of my highlights from the week was I didn't make the putt, but I had a birdie look on 18 from about 50 feet.
Nice.
So you are one of the 4 Circle 2 and regs of the week.
Yes. I threw a forehand.
Remarkable.
Not the left gap, but the right gap. I think that the right gap is the play.
I went down the right gap twice.
And then I had like a tight, skinny line that I threw a hyzer flip with a fairway driver. It pushed and missed everything. For a second, I thought I parked it. I was like, oh my gosh, is this actually happening? And then I walked up and I was 50 feet away. And
then you remember the hole is 1,000 feet long.
Yes.
That hole just keeps going forever. Every time you think you're almost
crazy.
there, there's like 100 more trees. Yeah, I had two rules for this tournament. Number one, I'm not allowed to complain about the course during the rounds. And number two was no double bogeys. Those were my 2 big goals for the week. And goal number 1 was achieved like a champ. Never even crossed my mind to complain. Unless like a card mate came up to me and talked something, I would like have a little subtle conversation, but I would not like throw a shot and then like play the victim of the course. I was not doing that at all, so I was happy with that. And I only had 1 double bogey, which was freaking hole 5. I played that hole so unbelievably badly. Oh, kind of broke my heart that was the one that got me.
Hole 5 gave me a bogey. I did not feel good.
That hole gave you a bogey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went bogey, double bogey, par on that hole. Just painful stuff to watch and live through. But no, final round. Eagle, actually, we were staying with Harry Chase, and Eagle played with Harry Chase and Paul Kranz that final round.
And Jake Hebenheimer. That was a great card.
I know. I was jealous that you had such a cool card. And my goal for that day was I just want to beat all you guys. That was my only goal. And I was checking scores the whole round, trying to see how you guys were doing. And all you guys were shooting so well. It was so annoying. And I tried to like stay in there and not freaking get on a dumb bogey train like it's so easy to do on that course. And I think I made a sick putt on 17 actually to give myself a chance. Because Eagle was beating me by 1, and I had 2 holes to play. I was tied with Paul. And then I made like a 45-footer in the wind on 17 for birdie. So then I was tied with Eagle, but I knew I had freaking hole 18 left, where literally any number between 4 and 7 is very realistic. And I teed off knowing I needed a par to tie Eagle. And I freaking hit literally the first available tree, that skinny tree on the right. And the disc came straight back and landed 20 feet in front of the tee box, right in the middle of the fairway. So my first shot was 20 feet. And then I knew that battle was probably over. And I still scrambled to get a 5, which was from there pretty incredible. So I ended up beating Harry, tying Paul Kranz, and losing to Eagle by 1.
Yeah, our card was, when you averaged everyone out, was under par.
Yeah, you were one of 2 cards, I think.
It's crazy.
Well, two of the 4 players to shoot under par round 3, besides the playoff boys, were Eagle McMahon and Paul Kranz.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing, it didn't feel that good.
Yeah.
Like no one looked like they were playing that good either. They were just doing enough.
What felt good on that course?
Puring hole 9. Birdie gauntlet.
I didn't pure that. I hit a tree every round on that hole. I could not throw the disc that whole weekend. I don't know what was going on with my freaking form, but the fact that I only shot 4 over for the tournament is kind of impressive on how horrible I was throwing the disc.
Can you tell us about your OTB shot of the day in round 1 and the irony behind that?
I mean, I don't know why. Eagle, did you see that?
No, I didn't know. What happened?
So on hole 1, I was obviously MVP sponsored event, so we got to be on the featured cards. Last card, Jomez card, and I threw some horrible shots, but also some like amazing freaking shots, and I won the OTB shot of the day on the Disc Golf Network live show with one of the worst shots I threw all around. I tried on hole 14. That's the hole with the pond. Also, what a hole, first of all. But I tried to go left and high off the tee. So I basically go full send.
I was looking at that.
Like on the 4 previous holes also, just high and left and big turnover. And I turned it too much because I didn't want to throw it into the canal. I turned it too much, way too high, and it cut rolled in front of the pond, like left right into that little opening where you, like the perfect tee shot could land.
To the left side of the pond?
To the left side, there's like a tee pad.
Yeah, I know where
on that
is.
left side. And I was like 20 feet in front, like right in the middle of that tee pad. That got shot of the day. A thrower. It blew my mind.
The commentary
I
was
like,
my
Did you get the
favorite
birdie?
part of it. I mean, they were like, "What a genius play! He's breaking the hole."
Did I get the birdie? What do you think? You have one guess.
No.
No.
No, I was nowhere near getting a birdie.
Um,
I think that hole had like a total of 6 birdies all week.
So tough.
what was the impetus for going over the top on 18, and why didn't you do it the next round? Which round was that you did it? Round 2?
Yeah, round 2 the wind was decent for it.
Okay.
And round 3 it wasn't.
Yeah.
Round 3 was actually
Were you going like
really
over the
bad.
back left corner?
Yeah.
Okay, I was looking at that too.
And it's technically not a triple Mando, so you can miss it.
That was the only 4 I got in that hole, so maybe that is the play.
Well, yeah, my weekend was, it wasn't great, but it was definitely a step up from the Supreme Flight Open. My backhand felt way more accurate. There was definitely still some rust, but I shot 1,000 rated round, the third round in the wind, and felt like, man, I was a couple breaks away from shooting like 3 over. I feel like I had a couple birdie looks that kicked off the wrong part of the top of the basket and went to a pretty bad spot. And I don't know. I was really happy with how I threw the disc rounds 1 and especially round 3. And yeah, round 2 sucked. So I pretty much gave up by about. It was not great. I mean, I plowed through. Honest, the first 7 holes were the worst. I got distracted by 2 things that I should never get distracted by, and I feel like I made some switches. One, I lost my chalk bag, and that was not.
Join the club.
That was not good. I did not want to do that. I need a chalk bag, and what really distracted me though was trying to communicate to Maria about that with no cell signal. And then as I finally got a replacement chalk bag, then my phone just like disconnected from the live scores, and whatever amount of stress of not being kept up on the scores. And I was just like not looking at the right stuff, and ended up getting a paper card sent out, and I used that for the third round. And I think, to be quite honest, I'm just going to continue using a paper card. I think that I do not want to be looking at my phone ever during a round, pretty much. I in the third round, I got on hole 1, I powered it completely off, and the only time I turned it on was to take a video of a skink on a tree on hole 5, and that was it. So I really enjoyed how much improvement I felt on round 3 from round 2, so that was great. My highlight of the weekend was playing with Jamie Keep. Absolute character.
Cowboy.
Oh my gosh, dude. They say from something, Georgia, representing Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans all around the world, Jamie Keep. And he walks out. Dude, this guy plays in jeans, and he plays with a cowboy hat, the same cowboy hat every time. and as he walked out on the tee, rolled up his sleeve and proceeded to throw one of the most buttery octane backhands. His entire bag, almost outside of like 2 discs, is MVP. He throws the limit
We got to pick him
almost everywhere. What he applied, he said he applied like a lot this offseason. So he is not only is there interest from you, he is also interested from his side as well. So
He's good buddies with Jeff Brick.
Yes, and with Harry Chase. And Harry Chase called him, if he was on tour, he would be the best Circle 2 putter on tour. And that's a pretty bold claim to make. And my God, is Harry Chase right. This guy is just the combination of the loft.
Super spin putt, right?
Yes, but he doesn't putt the way a super spin putter would normally putt. He does it on an arced hyzer, which allows him to get loft that most people, and he's just like deadly with it. And I feel like the issue with a lot of spin putters is if you yank one way or the other, it can be a bad miss. But he's basically hyzer spin putting, which if we're ever trying to explain to a beginner why a hyzer is more accurate than a straight shot, it would kind of apply in this instance from Circle 2. And he looked at us on hole 11. He had like 110 feet, and he goes, get your phones out for this one. Steps up, bang, cashes it from 110 around 3 trees. I mean, he gave the amount of bids that he gave that were insane. I think I saw 3 Circle 2 putts that round. Just a total character. Absolutely love playing with him. Look forward to doing more of it. And if you're interested in learning about Jamie Keep or supporting Jamie Keep, he has an amazing foundation called Keeps Peeps, and it supports I don't know which disease, but it's a very rare I think autoimmune disease that I think one of his children has as well. So really great guy. Harry had talked him up a lot, and I said, man, I hope I get to play with him, and we did the second round, so that was great.
Well, that was your segment of saying who you're impressed with, right?
Oh, shoot. Dang, I totally forgot about that. Yes, Jamie Keep. Well, that worked perfect. All right, boys, give me your one player who impressed you this weekend.
Go, Eagle. Unless you're not ready, I'm ready.
I got to say Paul Kranz. It was actually the first round that I've ever played with Paul Kranz in a tournament.
Oh.
And
he laces shots.
No, it's pretty incredible. Like, you can tell that he spends a lot of time at Planet Fitness because he's got a good physique going. I can recognize it. Shout out Paul. And his putt, like in the wind, he's just got that like kind of Gannon-esque, a little less nose down, but just straight and to the point, and you just can tell it's crispy. Like, he's putting in the work. You can tell disc golf is his number one focus right now. And he's a good boy.
Is it 1,000 putts a day? Is that true? Is that what he did all offseason? I'm pretty sure.
Something like that.
Yeah. Lots of reps. Shout out Paul Kranz. He's getting a lot of shout outs this episode. Did you guys throw any of the new MVP releases? The Stasis, and there was an amp out there.
I mean, I have a Stasis in the bag. I put it in the bag at SFO.
I liked a lot of the tournament-specific stamps that they came out with for the MVP discs, but even the Pro Tour tent also had some of those cool Big Easy shirts, and I made the really, really naive move of I had a caddy the third round who had one on, and I said, isn't it weird that it looks exactly like the Utah Jazz logo? And he's like, dude, where do you think the Jazz came from? He's like, show me the saxophone in Salt Lake City. And I had no idea that the Jazz used to be the New Orleans Jazz before they moved.
I was literally thinking the same thing. I was like, wouldn't you think they would do like the New Orleans Saints or something?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a cool fact.
It also made me realize how little I've ever questioned the Utah Jazz. I've just been like, yeah, that's a team.
All the Los Angeles Lakers, wasn't the Lakers originally from none other than Joey's homeland, Minnesota?
Show me the lake in L.A. So that's where I felt embarrassed because I was like, I have a personal connection to that exact thing. But yeah, I liked the merch that a lot of. I think the tour is getting a lot better at that stuff. The tournament related exclusive drops that are local. Simon, who is your favorite player that you were impressed by this weekend?
I'm gonna give Bo McLaughlin a shout out.
Oh, nice.
Bo.
Teammate. I played with him
yo.
the final round. He had a very unfortunate round. He was throwing some great shots and just he got parc de famille. I would call it. I was really impressed with his forehand. I mean, I know he had a solid forehand, but I mean, some of these holes that he was just, sending a little hyzer flip, lefty forehand. I mean, just the sheer power and distance and accuracy he had on those was probably what impressed me the most, I would say.
Bo McLaughlin and Chandler Kramer are just like two of my favorite human beings, like not on the course, and then a lot of the times on the course as well. But like they're just both very passionate people. I suppose like myself.
Can we do a podcast of Joey's favorite people where
I
you
have
just
too many.
list them off?
Maria says I'm not even allowed to call them favorites because there's too many of them. So
You just like people.
yeah, but Bo is really nice.
Yeah, and also shout out to Silas Schultz. I got to play with him the first round, local hero, of course, and it was really fun to feel the energy that was coming from the crowd towards him and how he was vibing and how happy he was with everything going on in his home state. And we had an especially fun moment because the fans kept calling into our round like, let's go Silas. And every time they would start with the Cy, I was always expecting Simon to be shouted out towards us because I'm privileged to get that from the fans a lot. Shout out to the fans. But this tournament, instead of Simon, it was always Silas that round one. And I had to give Silas props for that. That every time someone, hey, Silas, let's go Silas, it threw me off like every time. But he deserved it that week.
Sweet. All right, I have a new
Yep.
quick segment. It's not that long. We're going to end with this. It's trivia for both of you. It is presented by UDisc, a.k.a. Matt Kruger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name 2 U.S. states, and you are going to complete 3 guesses. You're going to guess how many disc golf courses approximately these states have, but more importantly, which of the 2 states has more. So I have the full list here, and this is according to UDisc data. I have the rankings.
Can we get like one state's number for like calibration purposes? Or is that not easy to pull off right now?
I see. Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Let's go.
Like give us,
let's
for
go right in the middle.
example,
Let's go right in the middle.
Okay.
Halfway. Number 25 is Alabama.
okay.
Sorry. Number 25 is Kentucky with 191 courses.
All right, okay. Just so we know that
Yeah.
we're like in the ballpark.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. We are going to do Georgia and Iowa.
Ooh.
So who goes first and what do we say, Joey?
I think the main question is which one has more courses. And if you want to go bonus level and try to guess how many they have, that's cool too. But I think the real thing is which state has more courses.
It's got to be Georgia.
I'm also on page Georgia.
You want to if that's your choice, then you want to guess approximately based off of our information with Kentucky at a 191. What would you guess Georgia has?
280.
I was going to say 280.
Okay. All right. Well, Georgia is ranked number 19 with 244 courses, so not bad by you guys. Unfortunately, though, Iowa is ranked number 10 with 392 courses.
Iowa?
Iowa.
My rationale was that Georgia had an earlier start because disc golf was big in the South, like during its advent. But I guess that doesn't really mean anything.
I think it does.
Well,
I just
Georgia
think-
has Atlanta, and Georgia has the IDGC. And Iowa has Des Moines. What else does Iowa have?
Quad Cities. That's a big...
That's a part of this country I've never been, so maybe that's why I didn't know.
I'm still surprised. I mean, I know the answers here, but I couldn't believe that Georgia was that far down the list. So, Simon, if you want to end with a wine, shine, or dine, you are welcome to do so. Otherwise,
Are we just doing one?
Oh yeah,
That was it?
We're gonna do one every episode.
Oh.
It's a new
Or
segment.
do you want to do more now?
No, let's keep it as a segment.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, if you have a dine or a wine or a shine, there's got to be something good that you ate last week in New Orleans.
I have unsolicited advices.
Give it to
We
us.
should bring that back. Somebody came up to me and says, "Eagle, I love unsolicited advice."
All right.
And I'm like, "Oh,
Hit us.
all right." I'd say my unsolicited advice, if you are a PC gamer, get yourself a Steam Deck. Do you guys even know what that is?
I have heard the
Nope.
name only because I watched a bit of gaming at some point in my
Okay.
teenage years.
It's a handheld console, kind of similar to like a Nintendo Switch, but it's made by Steam, which is a gaming like platform, or it's basically like a store. I don't know how to exactly describe Steam, but they're dipping their toe into making like some consoles and whatnot, and they have the Steam Deck. And being somebody who travels a lot, I never really am able to game.
Oh, look at this.
I got the Steam Deck, and it's amazing. It's getting me off my phone, and it's kind of funny to replace screen time with screen time, but just to play a game rather than like scrolling on Instagram or watching stupid YouTube videos, I found that my mental state and just like my overall focus, and honestly, sometimes in the morning of events, I do a little bit of gaming and I feel like it gets my mind in a better state. So Steam Deck has been awesome for me so far. And if anybody who has heard of it has been on the fence, highly recommend.
But if I have a Switch already, can I just use that, or is it Steam Deck that much better?
I would say for you, probably a Switch. The big caveat is, or I would say not caveat, but the big selling point is if you're a PC gamer, because you can run a lot of old like PC titles. Like I'm playing one of my old favorite games, Guild Wars, on it. And the cool thing about it is that you can get a dock, you can set it up with your TV, and it literally is. You can go into desktop mode and it acts like a normal desktop.
That was my question, because I know how much different gaming is on the computer versus on like a Switch. We were playing nightly squads, me and Bradley Williams and Calvin, the week before Supreme Flight, and well, Calvin and I are worse anyway, but my gosh, when I switched for one game onto Bradley's PC, it was unbelievable to be able to aim with the mouse and not aim with the joystick.
I just ordered like a portable little like mouse keyboard setup, HDMI cord, and if it's good, I'll talk about it on the podcast next week. Just to do like WASD computer controls, it's like so much better. I've never been like a console gamer, so to speak, like controller. I'm getting used to it on the Steam Deck, but that was the main selling point for me, is how you can turn it into a literal like gaming lap or like PC gaming setup.
Hell yeah. I don't have anything to shine or wine or dine about. I was disappointed. The food options we had near our Airbnb were unfortunate, I would say.
Our best dinner was that sushi.
Yeah, that sushi restaurant in Marrero
Yeah.
was
Did you like the crawfish?
pretty nice. I liked it better than I remembered it. So it was, I mean, the vibes were impeccable, and the whole setting with these little boats that were just, I mean, the sheer volume of crawfish they were serving us was
crazy.
it was pretty freaking awesome, and it felt very like legit and authentic, our experience with this southern cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
This is my critique of crawfish. It's like I like it, but I'd rather just have shrimp. It's a lot of work for just like a tiny little bite of meat.
Yeah, but I got to watch some pros peel them. Did you see that, or did you just try to figure it out yourself?
Like a pro. She's really good at it.
Ah,
I don't
okay.
have like the dexterity and like the touch.
Okay, yeah,
What
I totally
I
failed.
saw like Matty O eating it like down the way. I kind of wanted to like go over there and like ask him for some tips because he's probably like legendary.
What is exactly the relationship between the crawfish and the shrimp? I mean, they have to be very similar.
Crustacean.
Second cousins.
All right. My very fast, unsolicited advice is before you play disc golf, a lot of us think that warm-up is good. And I would just emphasize that glute warm-ups are extremely important. I have added some single-side leg lifts and a couple other glute-based warm-ups into my pre-round routine, and my goodness, not only does it feel
That's your
Glute warm up.
not only
That's our
does it-
episode name.
Oh, gosh. Not only does it feel like less painful, but I also feel like I have more power. I don't know. Sometimes when I feel like if I do the gyro ball or like a little bit of a forearm exercise, right, like 20 minutes before my round, my forehands feel stronger. I just feel like some more snap. I felt the same with my backhand. So I would recommend some glute warm-ups.
I don't like playing like practice rounds if I'm driving more than 2 hours in a day or sitting because it just feels so bad. Your whole lower body shuts down.
Maybe in Charlotte next week we can warm up our glutes together.
Let's warm up the glutes.
All right, Scoville units.
Episode name.
I mean, I thought you just called it.
Glute warm up.
Glute warm up.
That's insane. I walked right into that one. But thanks everyone for listening. Thank you to OTB for supporting and presenting this podcast. Thank you to UDisc for the data for the new segment. And thank you to Eagle and Simon for...
Thank you to Simon and Joey.
Yeah.
Thank you to Eagle and Joey.
That's right. And we will see you.
And you.
We will see you all in the Queen City.
Bye.
We get ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.